hit landmines. Both of us, we blew tracks off, and we were receiving anti-tank fire, and I radioed down to the 2 men up front if they could evacuate by hatch, and I received word, no, we're bellied up, we can't. And I radioed next door to the tank beside me on the right. They had the same problem, threw their track off, and they were immobilized. And I radioed, let's evacuate if we can. Anyway, I got out first in the top with the hatches, and some way an explosion or so hit the tank some way or other with damage to my hands, injury. I got out and hit the ground, and a gunner got out right after me, but the third man, the radio man, they had a bead on, and they shot him trying to get out. Believe it or not, the 2 men up front I never saw again. I don't know whether they made it or not. The crew on the right I never saw again for one reason. We ran back some 100 feet or so to our own lines, and I flew into a foxhole, and a medic doctored me up with sulfa drug and bandaged my hands. They dumped me on a jeep and headed me down the island, and I wound up on airstrip number 1, pronto, you might say, and a C-47 evacuation plane was just about ready to take off, and the man in charge hollered at some of his crew. He said, put this man on that plane, set him on a box or something. He is not a casualty case, of which did happen. 1, 2, 3, that plane was heading down the airstrip sort of towards Mount Suribachi to take off, and I looked at all of the destruction we were passing and the grief that had happened on that island, and just thinking to myself, do you mean I'm getting off of this thing alive? Do you mean I'm getting off of this thing alive? And the next day they done the operations on my hands, and had to decide how to get my wedding ring off. And there was, with the swelling and tearing of the flesh, there was no way other than to get some sort of snippers under it and just cut it in two. And that was very painful, and even those stretcher cases around me thought they had cut my finger off. But it was an ordeal in which my hands were placed in a wire netting, something like a tennis racket or so, and spread out so that they could heal without meshing together.